Welcome again to Rain Country and our continuing journey through Southeast. I'm Scott Foster. We begin this week in the governor's residence, located in Juneau. This picture, which is on the second floor of the governor's home, depicts the transfer of Alaska from Russia to the United States. 39 years after that transfer, the capital was moved from Sitka here to Juneau, and the territorial government realized they needed office space and a residence for the governor. To provide that office space and living quarters for the governor, these two houses located on Main Street between 5th and 6th were rented by the territorial government. The house on the left was used as offices, and the governor's residence was just up the hill. Only two governors lived in the house, Wilfred Hoggart and Walter Clark. It was Governor Clark who urged the President and Congress to build permanent and suitable buildings for the residence of the governor and for government offices in Juneau. Construction of a new home for the governor was authorized in the Public Building Act of 1910, and $40,000 was appropriated to build and furnish the home. An invitation for proposals was sent to prospective bidders in 1911, and during the following year, William Collier, an engineer with the Treasury Department, supervised the building of the home. On New Year's Day, 1913, residents of Juneau, Douglas, and Treadwell visited the governor in his newly completed home. When Clark was asked why the residence should be called the governor's house instead of the executive mansion, he explained, "There is every consideration of good taste in favor of the simple term governor's house, and moreover, this is the term of common parlance." Soon after Mr. Roosevelt was elevated to the presidency, he must have had this consideration in mind, for he immediately changed the name of the president's residence from executive mansion to the White House. Clark continued by saying that the governor's house was a simpler term, more dignified, and in better taste. Through the years, this dignified colonial-style home has gone through several remodelings. The first occurred in 1936, when the entire exterior was completed by plastering over the wood siding and painting the building white. The veranda on the south side was extended, and work was done on the driveway on the east side. The second renovation was completed in 1968 by Arthur Morgan Designers of Seattle. The Seattle Post-Intelligencer said the project had to please 226,167 people. But Governor and Mrs. Walter Hickel were the ones who approved many decisions. The third floor was remodeled, part of the basement was converted into a recreation room, and the main floors were refurnished. The last renovation of the governor's house was undertaken in 1983 at a cost of $2.5 million. New heating, electrical, plumbing, and security systems were installed, and the interior design of the main and second floors were restored to the 1912 period.
The main floor of the house, the public part of the house, which is the general reception area and the ballroom, or on some of the older sheets it's called the music room, where the grand piano is and where the Christmas tree presently. Off of that is the library, and that, with the 1983 renovation, is probably the most structurally changed room of all of them that they renovated, because it has the wood cabinets, all the bookcases, and the wood mantel, which is a copy exactly of what was drawn on the 1912 blueprint. When I first came to work for the Hammonds, the things that had been given Bella on the history of the mansion led her to believe that the room had never really been finished to look like a library, that it looked just like what it looked when they moved in, bare walls and the plaster wall. But the more I talk to some of the old-timers, they say no, that's not true, that originally it was finished as a library. So then in 1983, that was, when we looked at those original blueprints, and Governor Sheffield wanted that. So it's kind of nice to see it back like what it was meant to be. Off of that then is the formal dining room, which my staff has kind of nicknamed the Washington room, because almost all the furniture, the rug comes out of the Capitol in Olympia, Washington. So we've kind of nicknamed that one our Washington room. Depending on what's going on in the kitchen, we'll take people through so that they can see the commercial kitchen and the area where our chef is. There's a lot of, well, men and women both like to see the kitchen, see where the food's prepared. That really goes on whether Nancy has a really busy schedule, whether we let people get into the kitchen. We had for quite a number of years, last couple of years I guess I should say, taken people up on second floor. And when the Hammonds were first here, we even took people up on third floor. But our housekeeper complained there just was more than what we taken groups through, more than our staff could could keep up with on cleaning. So we eliminated the third floor tours and had maybe just first and second. This really isn't as public as the first floor. And although there is a living room on second floor, the governor's study, his apartment, I guess you could call it, and a guest room in my office. Again, we don't show this always on a tour now because a lot of it depends on the governor's schedule. And if he's here, if he's been entertaining, we don't bring people up on second floor as much as we used to. And then the recreation room, I guess you would have called it, sort of I think Hickles had exercise equipment down in there. And when the Hammonds were here, they had a ping pong table and a pool table. That was redone and new paneling and wallpaper put in there, and it now houses a hot tub. Yeah. People asked it after the renovation, after the 1983 renovation, and the figure came out $2.5 million. And I thought, I wonder if we're going to have very much negative feeling when we reopen again for tours. But I would say out of all the people that we've had, I could count them on less than 2 hands of people that felt that it was money ill spent. Most people are very proud that we've done it, that it's done, that the house belongs to the state of Alaska. Alaskans are very much, I notice when they come through on tour, they're very much the idea that this is their house. It's not Bill Sheffield's house, or it wasn't Jay Hammond's house. It's their house. It's Alaska's house.